Hi students, how are you? So we were discussing about the uses of microorganisms, and in the last class we studied how these microorganisms help us in the preparation of food. And today we can study the next use, that is the medicinal use of microorganisms. So today we can study, so first use, they help in the preparation of food. The next second use is medicinal use of microorganisms. Medicinal use of microorganisms. So when you fall ill, what do? You may consult a doctor, and the doctor may give you some antibiotics. And when you think about antibiotics, can you say which is the world's first antibiotic? Everybody know that. That is penicillin. Who discovered it? It was discovered by Alexander Fleming. So penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming. In the year 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered the vaccine, discovered the antibiotic penicillin. And at that time, he was doing some experiments in the laboratory of the inoculation department at St. Mary's Hospital in London. And he was working on a culture of a disease-causing bacteria. So he was culturing some disease-causing bacteria. And he was a careless lab technician. So he kept it there and go for a vacation. And after a 2-week vacation, he returned to his lab. And when he returned, he saw that a fluffy white mass which rapidly increased in size on an accidentally contaminated bacteria culture. So in one bacteria culture, he saw some white fluffy mass growing. It was a mold. Mold means what? A kind of fungus. So a mold has developed on the culture plate. And when he examined, he found that this mold has prevented the growth of bacteria. So he was culturing bacteria. So in other plates, what bacteria were growing, but in this plate where this particular mold was growing, he saw that that mold prevented or stopped the growth of bacteria. So he understand that this can be used as a medicine against the growth of bacteria. Okay, so the word antibiotic means against life, and thus he discovered world's first antibiotic or world's first bacteria killer. So he understand that this can be used to stop the growth of bacteria or used to kill the bacteria. Okay, and the name of this mold is Penicillium notatum, and this antibiotic was given the name penicillin. Okay, so now we are studying about the uses of microorganisms. So from some microorganisms we can prepare some antibiotics. So the source of these medicines are some microorganisms. And what do these medicines do in our body? Medicines will kill the disease-causing microorganism, or the medicines will stop the growth of the disease-causing microorganisms. And that medicines that kill the microorganisms, that medicines are called antibiotics. And these antibiotics are produced from some bacteria and some fungi. Okay, so penicillin is obtained from a fungus. So other antibiotics are obtained from, some antibiotics are prepared from some bacteria, some are prepared from some fungi also. Okay, so some of the commonly used antibiotics that is produced from bacteria and fungi are streptomycin, tetracycline, etc. Okay, so these are used for curing the diseases that is caused by some bacteria. Okay. So now we understand that antibiotics are used for stopping the growth of bacteria or microorganisms and for killing them. And when we are taking the antibiotics, we should follow some precautions. And it is important to remember that antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. So first point is that you should take antibiotics only on the advice of a qualified doctor. That means you should not simply show the old prescription and purchase it. And second important thing is that you should complete the course that is prescribed by the doctor. So sometimes the doctor may prescribe it for 7 days, sometimes for 5 days and all. And when you begin to take it, within 3 days itself, you may feel okay. And sometimes you may stop taking that medicines again. But you should complete the course. You should not stop it after 3 or 4 days after feeling better. Even if you feel better, you should complete the course prescribed by the doctor. So if the doctor gives it for 7 days, you should take it for 7 days. Otherwise, if you are taking it in wrong doses, at that time, you may feel better. Within 3 days, you may feel better and no problem. But sometimes you may be affected by the same disease afterwards. And at that time, these antibiotics may not be effective in your body. So when you are taking the antibiotics, you should complete the course. Otherwise, if you stop it after taking 2 or 3 days, at that time no problem. But next time, it may not be effective in your body. So not about painkillers or some other medicines. That medicines you can stop after getting cure. But this antibiotics, you should complete the course. That is one important point that you should remember. And second thing is that you should take antibiotics only when it is needed and it is prescribed by a doctor. You know, there are so many useful bacteria are also in our body. So if you are taking these antibiotics unnecessarily, it may kill the beneficial bacteria in our body. So you should take the antibiotics only after the prescription of a doctor and only when it is needed, and you should complete the course also. Okay. So if you are using it, if it is not necessary, don't use it. Otherwise, it may kill the beneficial bacteria in your body also. And do you know these antibiotics are not effective against viruses? Nowadays, you know, COVID-19 is caused by a coronavirus. And you know, we are finding difficult to cure that disease. So we don't know what medicine we can use against that disease. So for most of the virus or disease, antibiotics are not effective. So now you may think why it is so. So you know, all other microorganisms, they have some biochemical pathways in their body for doing so many functions in their body. And when we are using or taking the antibiotics, the function of these antibiotics is that these antibiotics will block their pathways. So they have so many pathways for completing their functions, and these antibiotics will make a block in their pathways so that their functions are not taking place in their body and they will die. But in the case of virus, we know when they are outside our body, they don't show any of the features of a living thing. So they don't have any biochemical pathways. And when they enter into our body or in the body of some animals or plants, they will use the cells of that host. So they don't have their own biochemical pathways. They will use the cells of the host. So we cannot block the pathways of using some antibiotics because viruses don't have many biological pathways. And so antibiotics are not effective against virus. It is effective against bacterial diseases, but it is not effective against virus. Okay, so now we study one use of microorganisms. So many microorganisms are causing diseases in our body, but some fungi and some bacteria, from some fungi and bacteria, we are preparing some antibiotics or some medicines. So that is another use of microorganisms. We can prepare medicines from some microorganisms. Clear now? And we are using these antibiotics not only for curing the diseases in human beings, but we are using the antibiotics for curing the diseases of animals also. So what will we do? We will mix the antibiotics in the feed of or food of these animals and give it to the animals. And not only for animals, we are using some antibiotics against the diseases that is caused for plants also. So antibiotics are used for curing the diseases of human beings, animals and plants. Okay. And the next topic is vaccines. And these days vaccines are made on a large scale from microorganisms to protect humans and other animals from several diseases. So these vaccines, we are preparing the vaccines also from microorganisms to protect us from so many diseases. So when a disease carrying microbe enters into our body, what we do? Our body will produce some antibodies, not antibiotics, antibodies. So our body will produce some antibodies. So antibodies means what? That is a protein that is produced in the blood that fight against diseases. So we know we have immunity system, and our immunity system will fight against diseases. So whenever disease causing microbes enter into our body, antibodies will be produced in our body, and they will fight against these microorganisms and kill the microorganisms, kill the harmful microorganisms, and we are protected from the diseases. Okay, that is always happening. Sometimes what happened? Our antibodies fail, and then at that time these microorganisms will grow in our body and we will be affected by the disease. But always we are not affected by the disease because our body or our immunity system is producing some antibodies to protect our body from the attack of this disease causing microorganisms. For example, you know some diseases like chicken pox, smallpox, etc. You might have heard, if we are affected it once in our lifetime, we won't be affected by the same disease again. So why? If you are affected by chickenpox once in your life, you will not be affected by the same disease again. Why? What is the reason? First time when the virus of the chickenpox enter into your body, first time your immunity system is facing this microorganism. So your body don't know how to produce which antibody against this microorganism. So they will take some time to produce the antibodies against this microorganism. And at that time you will be affected by within that time that microorganisms will grow in your body and you will be affected by the disease. And you will take some medicines, and during this time the antibodies also will be produced in your body, and that antibodies will remain in your body. And next time when the same microbe or its close relative enter into your body, your immunity system will remember that, and they will produce the correct antibodies very fast, and they will respond with greater vigor, and our immunity system will be able to destroy the disease causing microorganisms. Okay, so this is the principle that is used for vaccination also. So you have heard about vaccination. Young babies will be given vaccination against so many diseases. So here what our bodies, when our body meet a microorganism, our body will produce some antibodies against that microorganism. And next time when we are attacked by the same microorganism, our body will respond to it very fast and we will be prevented from that disease. So the same principle is used in vaccination. So what they do during vaccination, they are injecting not some medicines. What they are injecting, they will take the dead or weakened microbes that causes disease in your body. So they will take the dead or weakened microorganisms, and that is introduced or injected into our body during vaccination. And when this dead or weakened microorganism, for example for hepatitis microorganism, dead or weakened microorganism that causes hepatitis is injected into our body, what our body will do? Body will produce some antibodies and fight against that. So we are not injecting fresh microorganisms, weakened microorganisms. So they will be dead or weakened. So they are not able to cause diseases in our body. They are very weak. But at that time our body will produce some antibodies against this microorganism. So we will inject dead or weakened microorganism. They will not cause any disease in our body, and at the same time our body will produce some antibodies against this microorganism, and that antibodies will remain inside our body itself, and we are protected from the disease causing microbes. So after so many years, if that microorganisms come to attack our body, antibodies are already in our body, that antibodies will fight against it and we will be protected from that diseases. So nowadays several diseases are prevented by vaccination: smallpox, hepatitis, tuberculosis. For all these vaccination is given. So when vaccination is given, what happens? Our body is protected from that diseases also. Clear? In your childhood, you might have been given injections to protect yourself against several diseases. Now, with the help of your parents, you prepare a list of that diseases. Okay, so some of the vaccinations are BCG. So BCG is given within after 2 or 3 days after birth, and this is this is given vaccine is against the disease TB or tuberculosis. And then there is DTP vaccination. DTP. Then it is given as a series of 4 doses, and D is diphtheria, disease diphtheria. Then T for tetanus, and P for pertussis or whooping cough. Okay. So one vaccination is BCG, another vaccination is DTP. Then again there are vaccination against hepatitis, measles, smallpox, etc. Okay. So it is essential to protect all children against these diseases. So all the necessary vaccines are now available in hospitals. So it is essential that all the children should be given the vaccinations so that they are prevented from the attack of these diseases. And you might have seen the advertisement on TV or newspapers regarding protection of children against polio under the Pulse Polio program. Have you seen it? And how it is given polio? It is not injected. Polio vaccine is not given as an injection. It is given as drops orally. So it is given in the form of oral drops. So that is one. Polio is also one vaccine. Okay. And in olden days, so many people die due to smallpox. And there was no medicine for that. It was an infectious disease. So if anyone is affected, those who go nearby will be affected by the same disease. No medicine also. If anybody is affected by the disease, means they will die. There was no medicine also. So if anybody was affected, all others were afraid to go near them. So if anybody in the house itself is affected by the disease, they will send that person to forest or some other place, because otherwise others also will be affected by the same disease. So it was a very dreadful disease. But now what happens? Now a worldwide campaign against smallpox has taken place, and due to its vaccination, now we can see that it is eradicated from most parts of the world. Now smallpox, nobody is affected by smallpox because vaccinations against smallpox was given to all the children, and now that disease itself is eradicated from the world. Okay, so that is the importance of vaccination. So all the children should be given vaccinations for various diseases. So many different vaccinations are there. All these vaccinations should be given to the children, and so that they will be protected from the attack of all that different types of dreadful diseases also. Okay. And do you know which is the first vaccine discovered? The first vaccine was discovered by Edward Jenner. So who discovered the first vaccine? Edward Jenner. So it was discovered by Edward Jenner in 1798. It was discovered in the year 1798 by Edward Jenner, and he first successful vaccine, that is the smallpox vaccine. So what was it? Smallpox vaccine was the first successful vaccine discovered, and it was discovered by Edward Jenner. So Edward Jenner is also called as father of vaccination also. Okay, so we were studying the uses of microorganism. So another use of microorganism is that we can prepare vaccines from these microorganisms. So the dead or weak microbes are injected into the body of healthy persons, so that their body will produce antibodies against that microorganism. So again, if they are affected by the same microorganism, they won't be affected by the disease. Clear now? The next topic is increasing soil fertility. So another use of microorganisms is that they help to increase the fertility of soil. So plants need so many nutrients for their better growth, and they need nitrogen for their better growth. But plants are not able to absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere. We know that about 78% of the air contains nitrogen, but plants cannot absorb, or they are not able to absorb nitrogen directly from the atmosphere. So how they get nitrogen? Last year you have studied about rhizobium bacteria. Where do they live? They live in the roots of leguminous plants. So rhizobium bacteria live in the roots of leguminous plants. And what they do? They are able to absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere, and they will convert that atmospheric nitrogen into soluble forms that can be used by the plant for its growth and development. So the plants can use that nitrogen and grow very well. And not only rhizobium bacteria, bacteria like Acetobacter, Clostridium, all these are able to fix atmospheric nitrogen. And again, blue-green algae. Blue-green algae, or another name of this blue-green algae is cyanobacteria. So this is a kind of prokaryotic bacteria that have chlorophyll, so they can prepare their own food. So blue-green algae is also called cyanobacteria. So they have chlorophyll and they can prepare their own food. So the cyanobacteria tap the sun's energy captured during photosynthesis to fix nitrogen from the air and turn it into a form which plants can use. Okay, so thus some bacteria and blue-green algae are able to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere to enrich soil with nitrogen and increase its fertility. And these microbes are commonly called as biological nitrogen fixers. So what we call these microbes? Biological nitrogen fixers. So this bacteria, blue-green algae, all these are called as biological nitrogen fixers. So give some examples for biological nitrogen fixers. Rhizobium, blue-green algae, Acetobacter, Clostridium, all these are examples for biological nitrogen fixers. So we study one more use of these microorganisms, that is they help to increase the fertility of the soil by fixing the atmospheric nitrogen and giving nitrogen to the plants for their better growth. Okay, now we can study the next use. So next use is that microorganisms clean the environment. So there are two characters in our textbook, Bourgeois and Paheli. So they were observing how the school gardener was making the manure. So they saw there was a pit and all waste materials. Along with their friends, they also collected all the waste of plants, vegetables, fruits, everything, and put it in that pit that is meant for waste disposal. And after some time, they saw that all the waste decomposed and they got converted to manure. So they saw that what happened to the waste materials. All the wastes were converted to manure, and that manure can be used for improving the fertility of the soil also. And there is one activity in your textbook, that is activity 2.5. So in that activity, they are asking us to take two vessels or pots A and B. So in pot A, you put the plant waste, animal waste, everything. So waste materials. In pot A, you put the plant waste, animal waste, fruit peels, everything. And in pot B, you put the plastic substances, toys, metals, everything in pot B also. Okay. Then keep it for so many days. And what happened after so many days? What difference you can see? In pot A, you can see all the organic things. Plant waste, animal waste, peels of vegetables, fruits, everything. What happened to them? All these waste materials get converted into manure. All these waste materials decompose and converted into manure. So who helped to decompose all these waste? Microorganisms are decomposing these waste materials into manure. But what happened to the waste materials in the pot B? Plastic, metals, everything. Microorganisms are not able to convert them into manure. They are not able to act on this plastic, glass, bottles, everything. So what happened to that waste? That waste in pot B remained as such. Nothing happened to it. It remained like that itself. But in pot A, all the waste materials get converted into manure also. Okay. So who is helping to convert the waste materials into manure? That is the microorganisms. So due to the action of microorganisms, all the waste materials are converted into manure. Okay, all the organic waste materials are converted into manure. So you can see always there will be large amounts of dead organic matter in the form of decaying plants will be there. So many animals, dead bodies will be there. Everything will be there on the ground and all. But after few days, what happened to them? If it is remaining, all the dried leaves remain as such, what happened? In forest and all, you can see a heap of leaves. But you can't see like that. So what is happening to that plant waste and animal waste that is falling on the ground? Microorganisms will act on that materials and decompose them and convert it into manure, and that will mix with the soil and improve the fertility of the soil. Okay, so microorganisms decompose dead organic waste of plants and animals and convert them into simple substances. Okay, and these substances are again used by other plants and animals, and thus microorganisms can be used to decompose or degrade the harmful and smelly substances and thereby clean up the environment. So another use of microorganisms is that they will help to clean the environment. So otherwise what happen? All the waste materials will remain on the floor of the earth and there won't be enough space. But what is happening to the all waste materials? They are not remaining as such. They are decomposed by microorganisms. So the environment is kept clean. Otherwise all the dead bodies of animals, waste of plants, everything will remain as such. But you cannot see that within few days it will be decomposed and mixed with soil. So who is doing this? Microorganisms. So microorganisms are keeping the earth or environment clean. And also what is happening? They are converting that waste substances into manure, so that they are again increasing the fertility of soil also. Is it clear? Okay. So we were studying about the uses of microorganisms. So what are the uses of microorganisms? So many uses are there. They are used for preparing food. They are used for preparing antibiotics, vaccines, cleaning the environment. Then they increase the fertility of the soil by fixing the atmospheric nitrogen. So many uses are there. Okay, clear now? Bye.